This episode focuses on a lot of practical advice for those who are in the sales space, whether you're a leader in sales or you're actually selling a product. But I firmly believe that the practical advice that my guest offered doesn't only apply to sales in itself. It talks about things like the 3-minute challenge, the little things that make a big difference in your life and others' lives, and then the importance of practice and the ABCs. Curious as to what the heck all these things are? Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of The Leader Within. Today, I'm excited to introduce Larry Long Jr., CEO of LLJR Enterprises and the host of Midweek Midday Motivational Minute and author of Jolt. As an experienced sales leader with a demonstrated history of success in software sales, Larry is extremely passionate about coaching and helping leaders take their game to the next level. Given his experience, I'm excited to have him share his insights with you. Well, welcome, Larry. Can you share with us a story that has shaped the trajectory of your career, whether it's like, oh, that could have thrown me way off, but I learned from it, or it's this is what catapulted me to the next level?
Angela, thank you for hosting me. Really, the biggest story, it comes from my mentor and good friend, Mark Winchester. And I actually co-authored a chapter in a book, and the title was called The Little Things Are Really the Big Things. So what Mark did, when you're talking about leadership, before we even started working, Mark reached out to me directly, said, I want to sit down and have coffee with you. I want to get to know you. And he listened. He was interested versus trying to be interesting. And here's the kicker. He wrote a handwritten note, one to me, but most importantly, he wrote one to my wife. And what he said is, I want to thank you in advance for allowing us to have Larry's time away from the family. And then he extended the olive branch and said, if there's ever anything that I can do to support you, reach out to me. Those are things that I'll never forget. And so many times there's the little things that we can do that we don't do that mean so much. So that's the first story that comes to mind when I think about leadership and when I think about the impact that Mark has had on me. That's the kind of leader that I want to be. I'll share you another quick story. My car caught a flat over the weekend. So Saturday, I went in to a company called Black's Tire and Auto Service. They're one of my clients. I took my car in, they patched it, and they hooked me up with the friends and family discount. Well, I picked up 2 dozen donuts, drove it over, and told the guys, Isaac and Mello and the whole team, thank you. It's just a little gesture right there to let them know. I could have just said thank you and just be gone, but your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying.
I appreciate both of those stories, and especially with Mark's approach of it's not only you that he's thinking, but it's your partner, because we understand that when it comes to the work and the time that is invested into the work, we spend so much time away from our loved ones, right? So the fact that he understood that, hey, you know what? We got to make sure that the missus is happy as well, right? And understand that we appreciate the work that she does to support Larry. Like, I think that's amazing. And so when it comes to leadership epiphanies, like I would love to hear, based on all the leaders that you've now coached and supported, and also through your successful sales career, is what would you see as the biggest challenge that SaaS sales leadership is facing right now?
It's keeping their best people. So we've always been challenged with finding the best people, which is still a challenge. But I would say the number one challenge that I'm hearing from the people that I work with is how do you keep your top sellers? How do you keep your top people? How do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them happy? How do you keep them from leaving for other opportunities? Because there's opportunities that are out there for the top people. It might be tough for the folks that are mediocre and below, but for the top people, the market is always hot. I like to work with top people. What I found is top people like to be surrounded by other top people, and they like to be challenged. They like to feel like they're seen, like they're heard, and even like they're loved in a professional sense that, hey, I respect you, I honor you. It's a privilege to work with you, and I'm going to coach you. I'm going to lead you to be better so that hopefully as you continue to grow, you want to stay. What I found is a lot of top performers, when they get stagnant and they don't have anything else to learn and they look around, there's a lot of mediocrity. I'm out.
So, how do leaders keep these top performers engaged while making sure they don't leave everyone else behind? Because then, if you leave everyone else behind and they no longer feel seen and heard, it ends up putting even more on the top performers' plate, and then it could risk burnout for them, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I've got a couple thoughts, Angela. It's what we're doing right now. We're connecting. Our phones are off to the side, hopefully. Hopefully we've got the alerts turned off so we're not buzzing, but we're connecting. And that's what people want, is that true, genuine connection where their leaders show them that they care. Talk is cheap. Now, it also touches on, where do I spend my time as a leader? Do I spend it with my top reps, my A premier reps? Do I spend it with that middle, the B, or do I spend it on the laggards? I believe you've got to prioritize. And for me, I'm going to spend a lot of time with my top performers. I'm going to give them that TLC, the white glove VIP treatment. Now, I'm not going to spend my most time, but I'm going to prioritize and make sure that every week they're getting FaceTime. They're feeling the love by my questions, by my inquiry. I just spoke with one of my leader friends that I work with at Accenture. This was, I'm dating myself. This was 20 years ago that we worked together. But it comes down to, once again, people feeling cared for, feeling respected. Do you even care? Well, show me that you care. Show me, and this is trademarked by Sam McKenna. I didn't come up with it. Show me that you know me. And that comes from just getting to know people and understanding what's going on outside of these walls, even virtual walls. What's going on in your life? Do you play pickleball? Are you a golfer? Do you like to go to the theater? What is it that drives you? Hey, tell me about your background. Hey, how about this question? Talk to me about the next chapter. What do you want the next chapter to be? The power of our questions are so important. And I would say we've got to devote time as leaders with our top talent if we want to keep them. If we don't, then we should just do what many people have always been doing and just neglect them and say, they're on autopilot, they're on cruise control, they don't need me, they don't want me. I would beg to disagree that they do need you, that you need to share with them how they can be even better. I'll use the sports analogy. I played baseball in college, and it doesn't matter how good you are, there's still room for improvement. Go to good to great, Jim Collins. Go to great to spectacular. How do you go from spectacular to wonderful? How do you continue to elevate your game? That's on the leader. That's my belief.
I love that sports analogy as well. And it ties into my next question in terms of empathy with accountability, right? Because in sales, it's heavily numbers driven, right? So if you can't hit your quota and you can't actually like impact the bottom line the way that you need to, like it's going to play a huge toll on your team. And so when it comes to the space that you've experienced, how do you have empathy with accountability? Especially if you're top performers, they could be a favorite and you're like, I'll let it slide, but then letting it slide once becomes over and over again. And then before you know it, you're like, this isn't going to cut it, but it's on me as a leader because I didn't hold them accountable in the first place, right? I had a little bit too much empathy. So again, the question is, how do you have empathy with accountability in such a numbers driven environment?
Yeah, well, when I was leading a sales team, I had three goals, Angela. It was very simple. Number one, we got to hit our numbers. We got to hit and exceed our numbers. That's how we keep the lights on. That's why we have goals. And I encouraged my team to have goals that exceeded what the company. The company was just a benchmark, just a baseline. Your goals should be greater than what the company expects. Number two, learn and grow with intentionality. It sounds good. Yeah, I'm learning, I'm growing, but are you really? What is something that you're learning new in the past week? What are you learning new today? How are you growing? Number three, have fun. If you're doing number one and number two at a high level, you're going to have a whole lot of fun. So your question was, as a leader, how do you have empathy with accountability? How do you have accountability with empathy? They go together. I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to get into some alphabet soup, the ABCs. The A is action. You've got to take action and massive action, whether that's picking up the 500-pound phone 50 times a day, 150 times a day, whether it's sending those emails, video messages, you name it, you've got to take action and you've got to be accountable. And that's where me as a leader, and hopefully I'm building a culture where it's peer accountability, because hey, let's do this thing together. If we really want to be awesome, we got to do it together. And some people say it's hokey, Larry, but I believe team stands for together, everyone achieves more. I really believe that. So that's the A, action and accountability. The B is belief and bold. You got to be bold. If you want to be great, not good, but great, you got to take bold action. The C, I'm going to quadruple click. It's having that internal confidence. It's having the courage. It's care. Actually, it's the give a damn factor. Pardon my French, but it's actually really giving a dang and caring. And the last C is commitment. When you're committed, you move and you shake in a whole different way than if you're just, I call them pluggers. And we've all worked with pluggers. They're just kind of plugging along. They're just there taking up space. And it's like, nah, we can be friends, maybe, but you can't be on my team if you're a plugger. I need folks that are drivers, go-givers, like the book by Bob Berg, the go-giver. They aggressively want to go out and serve and help. And hopefully the solution, the solution that we have is able to help people, coach them, guide them, help them improve. That's a win-win-win right there.
Yes. Okay. And something that I have so many questions that came out of everything you just shared. But the first one I'm going to ask is going from good to great. So you have individuals that are great connectors.
Yep.
They may be good at sales, but not great at sales. So how do you bridge the gap between someone who's good at building relationships and connecting, but maybe can't drive the sale home? What has your experience been in that realm?
I'm not Allen Iverson, and I know you're in Canada, but Allen Iverson was a former NBA basketball player, and he's famous for his rant talking about practice. You might not be good right now at driving to close. And hold up, someone's knocking at my door, Angela. Who is it? Opportunity is knocking for you to be better. If we practice, we can role play scenarios. So if you're great making the initial connection, that's good. That's actually pretty awesome right there, filling the funnel. But now once you fill the funnel, how do you make sure those deals are driving the close? We can practice objection handling, negotiation, making sure that you're understanding the problems, the pains, your discovery, you're digging in, adding value, building the value where folks are now in a position where you can ask for the order, where you can drive for the close. And that's where a good coach, actually a great coach, is going to work with each of their sellers, because you as a seller, Angela, is different from everyone else. How can I customize my training to give you and help you exactly where you need to be helped? And the scenario that you pointed out, I've seen that play before. Someone's a great connector. They can fill the funnel, but then it's like, uh-oh, it goes into never ever land. That's where practice, intentional practice on those skills comes into play. And a lot of people that are listening to this, they're going to be shaking their head, Angela, but I'm going to put it out there. What you going to do? What are you going to do? What action will you take? Knowing that practice is key, will you actually do it? That's generally where the disconnect is. We're bright people. I know I'm not supposed to eat fried chicken. Come on, Angela. My doctor told me if you want to live a long, healthy life, you got to cut down on chicken. Well, I said, Doc, you don't know what time it is. It's bow time. We have a place here called Bojangles, chicken and biscuits, and sweet tea. You're making me hungry just thinking about it. But I know I should be mixing in a salad. But knowing and doing are often two different things.
Okay, and speaking of helping and creating that environment for people to practice, sometimes what like sales team environments can have is like a very cutthroat environment, especially when you're like, I have to make sure I hit my numbers so I can get my commission, whatever it may be. Versus you have other environments where you see the top performer hit their numbers and then they turn back to their team. It's like, you know what? I'll pull some weight for you. All right. I'll pull some weight for you. And then we're going to elevate as a team. How do you create an environment where it's healthy competition without it being cutthroat and then creating this toxic environment where people don't perform as well as a team as they should have?
Co-opetition. And that comes down to the folks that you hire. If you hire the right people, you're going to have folks that aren't just, I call them me monsters. And we've all worked with or played sports with or been around, or if we haven't, it might be you as a me monster. A me monster wakes up and all they care about is me, 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 me. No one else, nothing else, just me, 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 me. I want you monsters. I want folks that care about the greater good of the team in addition to caring about themselves. They're putting on their oxygen mask and they're now looking for who can I help? How can I make sure that I lift up all boats? In the world that I live in now, professional speaking, there's an organization called National Speakers Association. They actually have a term, it's called the spirit of Cabot. Cabot Robert was the founder, and what he said is, even though we're all professional speakers, even though we're all trying to rock the mic and make an impact on the world, we're not fighting for the same piece of pie. Actually, what we're trying to do is we're trying to work to enlarge the pie so that everyone, and I mean everyone, can win. When I look at the best teams that I've played sports on, the best sales teams that I've been a part of, it was really an unwritten, unspoken that everyone was going to help lift each other up. It wasn't, we didn't have to say it. Hey, can you help? No, I'm here to help. And when you have that spirit, it's I don't need to put my mask on, but it's contagious, Angela. And it's up to the leader to really make sure that they're hiring for that they're fostering that they're exemplifying that in all that they do cross-functionally. How are you supporting the marketing team, customer success, support, our product team, our engineers, our finance team? How are you making sure that we're all working together? Because it's kind of like kids. Sales professionals look to their leader and don't look at what they necessarily say. Talk is cheap. They look at what are you doing? So if I see you modeling the behavior, now it's like, hey, let me get in line. I'm on board. Let's do it. We're all together, which I see the smile on your face. That's exciting. That gets me excited.
Okay, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that because it's like, I love that you had that call out about hiring for that attitude, those behaviors, and then from a leadership perspective, you modeling that behavior. So when it comes to developing your team and you're keeping some of these things in mind, how do you do so in a way that the person who is underperforming doesn't ride the coattails constantly of both the leader and the highest performer? Because they're like, if I don't pull my numbers this month, I'm pretty sure there's like a slight margin that I can get away with staying under the radar, but then the top performer and then leader starts getting frustrated, right? So again, the question is, what do you look for when developing a team and how do you address some of those behaviors where it's like, you're starting to ride the coattails?
Yeah, that's the great thing about sales. You can't That's the great thing about sports. I mean, we're getting ready for the Olympics coming up, which I love for most of the events. Some of the gymnastics, it's subjective, but everything else is objective. What was your time? You can't fudge that. It doesn't matter whether I like you, I love you, I hate you. The time doesn't lie. The scoreboard, when it comes to sales, it doesn't lie. It tells the story. I mean, the U.S. soccer team, oh my goodness, they had a tough game last night. I'm dating it, but they had a tough game. They lost. They got eliminated from Copa America. That's not the result that they wanted. Something's got to change. Something in their process has to change. I think there's a saying, Angela, if it ain't broke, the traditional saying is don't fix it. Well, I'm going to shake it up a little bit. If it ain't broke, break it, shake it, flip it upside down. If you're not hitting your number, my job as a leader is to hold you accountable and to find out why. What's going on? Walk me through your process. What are your priorities? Where do you spend your time? Let's take a look at your calendar. Where do you spend your time in a day? If I see a lot of open space, Houston, we have a problem. If I see a lot of clutter, if you're not able to explain to me what's your process, what's your plan every day, every week, what you're driving for in the work back plan, we have some opportunity knocking at the door for us to get better. And that's where I can leverage my high performers to say, hey, let's connect. You walk me through your process. Let's see what works for you. And that doesn't mean that the low performer has to do that exactly, but hopefully the light bulb goes off that, hey, I see the structure and I understand the thought process behind why they do what they do. Maybe I can implement and maybe I can have that same rigor in terms of what I do on a daily basis to be able to be the best that I can be. I don't want folks to be this person. I want you to be the best you, because who knows, the best you might be even better than the top performer. And that's where I do a lot of coaching, a lot of training, and I love to see when folks really don't believe in themselves. And I'm able to help them. It's actually chapter 1 of my book, Jolt. What story are you telling yourself and believing? The great thing is that we've got the pen to write the story of what we believe in. But so often people write a story that's fake news. Survey says, nah, that's not a legitimate story right there. That's not empowering. That's not even true. But people start to believe it. So great question, Angela. I hope I hit your question. I know I talked about a lot.
You did. You hit a home run. I believe that's a term that you use in your sweat, right? Um, love it. I love the pink bat. And I guess my follow-up question to that is, as a sales leader, because you touched a little bit about like understanding the process of what high performers do, and then kind of being able to dissect that and then replicating, but in a way that it actually makes sense to the individual itself. So for you, when it comes to being an effective SaaS sales leader, what would you say is a magic formula, and I use magic formula with air quotations, that works for you when it comes to your day-to-day priorities? Because sometimes we notice that some of the best sales leaders are those that can actually drive sales themselves, right? Because then it's like, it's almost like proof to your team that's like, yeah, my leader has earned their spot because they know their shit, right? So again, for you, in a day, is it like 20%, no more than 20% is meetings, no more than 20% is outreach and making sure that my pipeline is being filled? Like, how does that look like for a day in Larry's eyes if he had to go back to being in the thick
Yeah,
of it?
well, what I recommend, every situation is different. And I love what you said in terms of the leader showing the way. Sometimes that's not the best use for the leader's time, though. I'm a big believer that this right here that we're doing, the one-on-one time, the ride alongs, whether it's in person or even virtually, where I can be there with you, supporting you, but letting you, you got the training wheels on. Let's take the training wheels off. You run it, and I'll add color where necessary. And I'll provide a recap when we get done. Here go the things that you did very well, call those pluses. Here go the opportunity areas, we'll call those deltas. And here goes what I would do differently to provide that outside perspective. Now, I'm also a big believer of leveraging peers, and there's technology out there that allows for call recording. We're recording this call. We can go back and dissect the opening. We can go back and dissect my long answer to your last question. Larry, let's go. You got to tie a bow on it. We can dissect the closing, and that's really where you learn, you grow, you improve, both from the rep perspective as well as the leader. So to answer your question, where do I spend my time? As much face time, as much side to side time that I can have with my team to let them know that I'm here. Now, if they need me to make a call, believe you me, Angela, I ain't never scared to pick up the phone and reach out and touch someone. I ain't never scared to send a video message on LinkedIn, send an email, you name it, make a phone call to see if someone will give me a reference. Never scared to do that. Your team wants to know that you are there. The power of presence. knowing that you care. If you have a leader who doesn't care, I'm going to do this out of just my care, but when you have a leader who cares, i.e., Mark Winchester, who shows you that he cares because he writes you a custom postcard for 4th of July to let you know that he's thinking about you, who sends you a video or audio message to let you know that you're on his mind over the weekend, that goes a long way. The little things are really the big things.
Appreciate that call out. And as we slowly wrap up our conversation, if readers can take away one thing from Jolt, so the book that you wrote, what is the one message you hope that they can take away and apply right away?
Yeah. It's going to be the chapter that talks about the fundamentals, the ABCs, the A, the B, the C, the basic fundamentals, having a good foundational base. So in sales, we know that we've got to understand the industry, our company, our products and services, our tools and resources, and our selling skills. Those are kind of the 5 tools that I look at when it comes to sales. And a lot of times our training focuses on the sales skills, filling the funnel and making calls, prospecting, discovery, time management. Well, what time are you spending on the tools and resources? Whether it's Excel, pivot tables. Most people use Excel for the columns and the rows, but they can't take it further. Salesforce. Most people don't maximize their Salesforce instance. Your resources, the people around you, the industry. How are you keeping your ear to the ground and keeping up to date on what's going on in the industry and then your product? You have a baseline knowledge. How do you continue to grow? Or do you have a baseline knowledge that you can then build upon? So I would say the ABCs, if you want to focus on something right now, the basic fundamentals, those 5 tools.
Love it. I'm glad that you gave them 5 tools to work off of. And when it comes to unleashing the potential of individuals and organizations, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Yeah, it's asking the tough questions. The great Tony Robbins says the most successful people ask, and I'm going to give you the remix. They ask the toughest questions, therefore they get the best answers. A lot of times we shy away from asking those tough questions. Here goes a question I ask myself each and every day, and all of your listeners and viewers, feel free to take this. It's a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What he says is life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing to help others? I ask myself that every morning before I go to bed. I look at myself in the mirror and I ask myself, Larry, what did you do? Not what did you write? Not what did you think about? What did you do today to help someone else out? If I don't have an answer, that's not me living a fulfilled life. That's not me living to my max. If I can answer that and answer it in spades, life is fulfilled. I'm now impacting other people, which has now impacted me as well. Life is good. And I'll give your viewers and listeners something they can do right now. It's called the 3-minute challenge because I know we're all strapped for time. You have 3 minutes. Every weekday, go into your Rolodex. I know some of y'all don't know what a Rolodex is. It's pretty much your contact list in your phone. Find someone you haven't been in contact with. It could be 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, even 3 decades if you're old enough. And all I want you to do is take 3 minutes to surprise and delight them. Essentially, if I was reaching out to my colleague, I would think back to a time that we spent together, send them a funny GIF and say, hey, on this terrific Tuesday, I'm thinking about you. Make it a wonderful day. It's your choice. I'm not asking them for anything, not trying to sell them anything. I'm just letting them know you're on my mind. If you do the 3-minute challenge each and every day, there's no guarantees in life, but I guarantee you're going to have a positive impact on some folks. And more than likely, it's going to come back to you 20x.
That's so powerful that you can make such an impact in 3 minutes, right? If you think about how busy everyone is, like the fact that someone took their time to reach out like that, I think it goes so far. Like you said, and I think there's that added context of don't do it with a hidden agenda, right? And I know you briefly mentioned that it's like because people feel that insincerity as well. So my last question to you is, what's one thing that's top of mind for you, whether it's, hey, this is who I'm looking to help, or this is how people can help me?
Wow, that's a great question, Angela. Ooh, you threw me a curveball right there. Right now, my focus is on intentionality. I have a 14-year-old son, a 10-year-old daughter, and I have opportunities to travel. I don't want to miss out on their life. So I'm being very intentional on what I say yes to, and I'm saying no to more things. So excuse me, I'm still in the business of helping and serving people as a speaker, an MC, a coach, a trainer, and I love helping individuals and organizations. My priority is my family first. So that's my intention right now is yes, I want to serve others. I'm going to make sure I serve myself, keep my coffee cup overflowing. I don't even drink coffee. This is water. But also making sure that my family knows that I'm here and the power of presence so that I can be my best in serving others. It's that intentionality.
I appreciate that because I think it's as a giver, it's really easy to give everything you have. And then, like you said, that coffee cup analogy or a cup analogy, if you're depleted, you can't give anymore. So I love that you're setting intentions and healthy boundaries around that. So, Larry, thanks for saying yes to me and the audience today. I appreciate you sharing your stories, your insights, practical tips, and to everyone else that's tuned into another episode. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It means more to me than you'll know, and I can't wait to stay in touch with you on my next episode. Till then, stay safe.